I feel like you should sit on some phone books.
Why?
You're so small.
You have to move in, honey.
Move in.
I just feel like you're...
It's this. I think it's the table.
Well, yeah, maybe we could
The
just...
table's kind of perfect.
No. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Or maybe, does David need...
Why do you...
Because he has the...
You know what it is? It's this fucking helmet. Can you remove it for 2 seconds so I can see if that's what it is? Okay, Dave, sit normal. Come on.
Yes, sit up.
He has a bigger booty than me, so he sits on there.
That's why I said
does
you need
have
phone
buttons
books.
on.
6 inches of booty.
There's a big ass there, so...
Pull my finger. Good?
Yeah, I'm just waiting on you to start.
Hey kids and coaches, welcome back to the Show and Tuck Review Show.
It's a good name for it.
And then
Show and Tuck Review Show.
Show and Tuck Reviews. Yeah.
Let's just say Show and Tuck, because if you say Show and Tuck Show, that's like redundant.
Yeah, that's right. We should probably introduce ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, welcome to Show and Tuck. I'm Coach Tuck, partner in crime.
Dave, welcome guys. In this episode, we have a special treat. We're going to be going over one of Coach Tuck's AKs.
So, as everybody knows, if you're watching this, you probably have noticed that the AK community has been thriving in the last 2 to 3 years. Innovation from companies like JMac Customs, M13 Industries, K&S Precision, of course Rifle Dynamics, and a lot of other manufacturers and inventors of ways to bring this platform into the modern age. This was my first real AK, and by that I mean
As opposed to your fake AKs.
Well, I'll just say non-com block, and that's all I can really say about it. Y'all know what I mean. So this started off as your traditionally set up Arsenal SAM7R, which is the fixed stock version. The SAM series is Arsenal Bulgaria's milled offerings, which, you know, a lot of guys like to talk, oh, is it stamped better, is milled better? I've had both. I like both. But the milled is a little heavier, but it's not as drastic as people say, you know. And one thing it does provide with the weight is it just shoots a little bit smoother. This isn't your standard configuration of an AK.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with the trigger guard.
What's a trigger?
Hmm?
Nothing different about the trigger guard.
This looks like a trigger guard to me.
Oh, you got me. Okay.
Got him!
Fuck. So this is a Gurkha Nicaraguan series cigar. It's a very nice cut. Anyways, first thing I want to talk about is triggers. That's usually one of the first things people complain about with stock AKs, and it's a rather affordable thing to replace in this platform. Now I will say with the new Arsenal triggers, I also have a CR with one of the newer ones that I've done nothing to. It's not a bad trigger, but nothing beats this guy right here, ALG AKT. So this is a pretty light trigger. You know, it's nothing that's unsafe or anything like that, but it's very crisp, very consistent, and it's wildly the most popular AK trigger out there. And for the base version, you're probably looking at $65. Without getting too deep into the rabbit hole about this, I want to warn you guys, I found this out with an SLR 104 I had with a regular ALG AKT. You have to look out for the size of your trigger guard rivet. So what I mean by that is different countries may have different standards of how high that sits. So, and I'm talking about specifically stamp models. With this, you don't have to worry about this issue I'm about to tell you about. So over time with the Arsenals, their rear trigger guard, their rivet behind the hammer sits a little bit higher, and that pretty much is in line with the specs of their stock triggers. What happens is with this raised rear trigger guard, with this raised rear trigger guard rivet, the back of the hammer the tail on it starts striking it, and over time it'll just break it because I'm not sure if it's a metallurgy problem or what it could be, but it's really not a big deal. All you gotta do
Metallurgy, huh? That's a big word, dude.
Well, on the forums, on Facebook, you know, people are talking about hardness levels.
That's what she said.
I don't know, man. I'm not a fucking scientist, but that's the way I understand.
What if I was?
If I were. Anyways, we're getting back to the tail on the fire control group. It gets mashed over time, and so eventually it's just gonna break, and then your trigger's not resetting when you're at the range, like what happened to me, and you're like, well, what the hell's going on? And you go in there and it's broken. So I hit the forums, not AK files, but the Facebook groups, and I found out this is a common problem. So you can have that rivet shaved down or take off the tail hook. I went ahead and just did both. Anyways, but I digress. You don't have to worry about that with this series. Moving on from the fire control group options, well, what's that?
This episode brought to you by Hostess Donuts. Frosted mini donuts. Beautiful inside and out.
Alright. Is it wrong?
I'm wrong.
Okay. Other options for triggers are the ever so famous Tapco G2. And that's pretty much fucking it, guys. There's not that many options that are comparable to this. Other than just, you know, self-tuning your own or just letting it set in, but by far the ALG AKT is a way to go. Other than that, for some common first mods, the Krebs Customs safety selector. So what this allows you to do, instead of having to sweep all the way from the front, which I mean, it's not that big of a deal to do, but once you kind of modify it a little bit, which takes a little bending, right here, just that easy. This is one of the better mods to do. It's great for comps. Even the current new AK-12s, AK-15s in Russia have this particular mod. There's a few companies that do this, but Krebs was one of the first ones and is my personal choice for it. And also something cool, show clear for everybody. Here we go.
BAM!
For ranges that require you to have your chamber open with a chamber flag or whatever at a competition, it's got this little notch in here. When you're ready to go, so it's a little harder.
That's the sound right there, though, dude.
Yeah.
That's the sound that means it's time to get down to business.
Yeah. Everybody loves the sound of an AK racking. Let's see what else we got going on here. We got a lot going on. So for the pistol grip, I chose this is an aluminum component made by my.
Brought to you by Hostess Donuts. Beautiful inside and out.
Unlike most of you fucking assholes. Is aluminum. It's made by KGB. I like how it fills my hand. Oh shit. I like how it fills me.
Wow.
Alright, I like this grip. Well, it's aluminum. It's pretty Gucci. Looks cool, which is the most important thing out of anything we do.
Duh.
Looks
skill, bro.
Right. And this Bakelite Cerakote job on it was done by 11 Mile. Looks really good. They also had a plum one. And standard black, but this is a great grip. No, I haven't seen anybody stipple it. That's retarded. You can't fucking stipple it. God damn it. Alright. Let me back up. I'm gonna start straight from here. God. It's like, wait. It's like the fucking dumbest shit.
Oh, my head swollen.
Yeah, the Bakelite Cerakote was done by 11 Mile. Looks pretty sweet. I just like the profile of this grip, and aesthetically it is very pleasing.
Mm-hmm. So I noticed a lot, or with ARs. Whoa, hang on now. I know we're doing an AK review, but I noticed a lot with ARs. A lot of people talk about modularity, Picatinny rail,
Right.
which comes into play. Whether you like AKs or ARs, the modularity is awesome. So
Yeah.
I see your rail right.
I'd love to discuss this rail.
Oh, that blood!
So this rail I got out of Kalash Bash in Texas, which was my first competition.
This year, 2019.
Yes, first year was this year in 2019.
I think.
Shout out to Clayco and Kyber Customs for helping put that on. Anyways, yeah, this is their RS Regulates M-Lock rail made for the SAM series milled, which I mean that's most of the milled guns you can get now. So you can attach lights. If you're super cool and rich and have night vision, you can put lasers and such. Some packs, maybe a purse. Be like that.
Laser.
Lasers. Or, you know, if you had any other just dumb shit you wanted to put on there, you could. I just have this hand stop I was trying out from BCM.
It looks good though.
It's pretty cool. I like it. I usually run a little shorty vert foregrip, or I don't run anything. This gas tube cover is Bulgarian surplus that I used to run a matching handguard. Looks very pretty, but it was just a little too slick. I wanted to be able to kind of pull the rifle back in my shoulder. And no, it's not completely necessary, but it's something I like to run. I don't feel like I gotta explain it, in the comment sections and all that bullshit on Instagram.
Hey guys, tell us what you guys like to run. So, if you like to run a more modern rail, or if you like to go traditional, which like I know with AKs, the wood furniture is a big deal. So he does have this hand stop here. I love hand stops. That's pretty much all I run. I do like, so the short vertical grips, aka the dick grips, they're a little bit longer than this. Those have their purposes, and I do like those too. They're really good with certain features and stuff, and certain
Just applications.
Yeah, certain different ways that you can use a shorty vertical grip to shoot different positions. We will definitely get into that in another review. But going from there, let's talk about this fancy sling here, dude. Optics is everything, and when you look at this AK, dude, the first thing I notice is that sling right there. So let's go over that, dude.
So this is an unissued Soviet Afghan surplus sling. Now, as you'll notice, it's got the regular hook up here, and instead of having the folded fabric back here on this loop, I've got another hook because this is actually an RPK sling. I like how much further out I can, I guess looser, I can have this one.
Let's be honest, dude. You're thick.
I'm pretty fucking thick, guys, alright? I'm not gonna lie. And, them slim boy slings don't work for me. Which pretty much nothing out there is, but as far as these traditional slings go, this is what I went with, and it's also just easier. You don't have to dick around with folding it because there's a particular way you have to do it in the back. It's just a big pain in the ass, and I was like, I'm just gonna get these hooks and call it a day, and it's been pretty good thus far. I like it a lot. I might get another one, but this mustard yellow color looks pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, dude.
So, I guess a bit of a nostalgia there with the fact that it was from the Soviet Afghan War, and also going back to what you're talking about with vertical foregrips, you'll see some longer ones being used, or the like shorter Zenica ones, stubbies.
Yeah.
That I've had before. One thing you want to look out for, especially when you're running 7.62, is when you're releasing your mags. Let's say you got a longer vertical foregrip, or depending on where you've got it placed on your rail, it can cause issues when you're reloading. I don't have that issue with this, and when you're coming back up, clears it. So that's just something I keep in mind, especially with the caliber. Now, let's say you had a 5.45 by 39 with a shorter mag, or the SLR 106 series 5.56, which the profile is a little straighter. With those two, you really don't have that big of an issue at all. So I wouldn't be too worried about it at all. You just want to be mindful of it. Not a game changer or anything, but it's just little nitpicking things I think
Just
about.
know your weapon system, basically, is what he's saying.
And run your weapons.
Yeah.
And that's what I've played around with a lot of different setups. This one's pretty good thus far.
I like this because, to me, when you look at this weapon system, it is a mix of originality of the AK and the modern AK. So you have the best of both worlds, in my opinion. That's why I like this AK. When I look at this, I am drawn towards it from every feature, from the sling to the rail to the wood furniture to the stock, and even to the compensator or the breakup here. So as you guys can see, this AK with the barrel and everything, it does seem like it is a shorty, but in fact it is pinned.
Yeah, so this setup, or my configuration, I guess, it was altered by M13 Industries and John Holton. Great to work with, highly recommended. Who do builds from scratch, or a complete, basically a rebuild of your stock gun. So what I have going on here is the JMAC GBC 13, which is pretty much an exact clone of the East German front sight gas block. And what's cool about this is that it shifts the weight back. Everybody knows AKs are front heavy, especially with that piston system. What this does is more or less evenly distributes the weight, and combined with this JMAC 14.5 barrel and the RRD 4C Sandman brake, I believe this takes about a pound off the front end. I mean, the first time I ever picked it up, I could tell. I've never put it on a scale. I could just tell it was lighter. I mean, I could run one-handed with this thing. Usually with an AK in a standard configuration, you're really fighting it on your forearms. Unless you're Popeye, I mean, you're gonna have a hard time running around one-handed sometimes.
Popeye, or you got these pythons.
That's right. So, cool thing about this, other than the fact that JMAC brakes are absolutely amazing, it also serves as a quick detach hose for the Dead Air Sandman series. They set this up to where you can just pop it on, pop it off, depending on which either the L, S, or the K. Great suppressors. But I've had a lot of JMAC products, and I absolutely love their brakes. It's not too much flash unless you get the LAF, which that's the whole point. It makes 7.62 shoot as flat as like a standard AR. And it's not as deafening in the ears as certain other brakes. But I've always been a fan. Jessen and Ash there at JMAC Customs, great to deal with. Always innovating. And they're just helping the Kalashnikov community. And the barrel is great. Very accurate. Got a lot of rounds through this thing.
I can attest to that. I have run this. It shoots like a dream.
Yeah, it's extremely smooth, man. And
oh yeah, it's
your follow-up shots,
butter.
Yeah, follow-up shots are amazing.
Mm-hmm.